You know that ligaments link bones together and that stabilizes the joint. And unfortunately, the anterior cruciate ligament of the knee joint is the target of several trauma, but doesn't heal very well. Often it breaks during an intensive sportive activity. And when it's broken, it's very hard to repair it. So there are options to replace it, and it includes synthetic prosthesis, allograft, and autograft. The preference is to use the patellar tendon, the central part of it, take a chip of bone from the patella and from the tibia, and then replace the torn ACL by this graft. Usually it works well, although you had to do it, you had to, induce a wound, an additional wound in the knee. But sometimes there are drawbacks as well. So like permanent patellar fracture and permanent pain and quadriceps weaknesses, because the patellar tendon is related to the quad. So if you look at the ACL itself, the ligament, if you want to make a new one in culture, you've got to know what it contains. It's a pretty complex tissue. It contains fibrocartilage, Sharpie's fibers. These structures link the ligament itself to the bone osseous insertions. It has a vascular network near the bones and some nervous receptors to ensure the proprioceptive function. The matrix itself contains cells, fibroblasts, and collagen fibers mostly, with some elastin, proteoglycans, and minor components. The ACL is a strong ligament. It's a knee stabilizer that was, documented heavily. Although it's strong, it should not be elongated over 6% of its length. And when you replace it with the patellar tendon, after 6 weeks, you expect the vascularization of the graft. And after 30 weeks, you expect the histological and functional recoveries to be there. Now, we propose a tissue-engineered, bioengineered ACL that is made in vitro for, to have a model in vitro and study the particular aspects why this ligament doesn't heal, what do these cells do or don't do, and then possibly use this model to, replace the torn ACL in humans. So I'll pass some because, time flies. We grafted our model in the goat because the orthopedic surgeons who collaborate with me, they need to work on a bigger joint than the rabbit one. They wanted some animal that had closer size of knee to human than, so there we go. When you put, because we chose collagen as the matrix for this ACL, reconstructed in vitro, because, collagen is the matrix in vivo. Why not use it in vitro? So we try, our philosophy, the team that I have colleagues also, we try to use natural components in a way that they are well integrated in the body. So collagen gel with cells in it are, it's a common thing. What you see is a disorganized network of matrix fibers. And when you apply a tension on it, you align the fibers and the cells. So we created this in culture using 2 bones to pull the structure, and on the left side you see the matrix of our BACL that was grafted, and on the right side you see the natural ACL, and so you can see the density is quite different. But nevertheless, this is the setup for applying a tension on the ligament in culture. And when you rupture this, when you break this structure, you have a certain curve that is a typical curve. The tension increases until it breaks, and the tensile strength of your BACL, your bioengineered ACL. If you use a gel of collagen with cells, you'll see that it's very weak. We could not possibly graft something like this. It's comparable to Jello. So, but if you lyophilize the scaffold of collagen, then yes, you increase a bit the strength to 2 Newton, which is not graftable either. Recently, though, I wanted to mention it here, by some circumstances that I won't discuss here, we found out that if you dip a collagen scaffold in glycerol, 10% glycerol, you straighten it, you increase the strength 10 times. So we reached 20 Newton per sample, but we didn't graft that. And if you increase the number of layers of collagen, yes, you will increase finally the strength of your bioengineered ACL. But what we grafted was, because, you know, I'm not somebody that wants to spoil the public money for fun. I wanted to know as early as possible if this was a dream or could be applied seriously. So I grafted a ligament made in vitro using a surgical thread that is biodegradable to withstand the stress during the first month post-grafting and see what happens if it could be integrated in the joint later on. So how is made the ligament? In culture, totally. We take cells from the animal, we use autologous cells, we grow the cells, we put the bones in the tube, we put the cells and the collagen together, collagen will polymerize, the cells will contract the matrix, and we get that. When we graft, we add, as I said, a surgical thread between the bones that we fix together, and then we make one layer of collagen that is lyophilized, rehydrated, and a second layer then is added with living cells in it. That's what it looks like. That's what we grafted. These are my colleagues, my orthopedic surgeon who graft at the university. So this is quickly the procedure. You probably know. This is what looks like the graft just readily transplanted in the joint of a goat. It looks like that. So we put a cast for a week because the goats would not, you know, we don't want them to touch their wounds. After a week, the goats are free to go and jump and do whatever. And it's pretty amazing to see that after a month, already the graft is endothelialized. You have a network of endothelial cells, blood vessels that are already inserted in the ligament. And if you look at the remodeling of the collagen scaffold, you can see that, you know, we use bovine type 1 collagen to make the ligaments, and we have an antibody against this that doesn't cross-react with goat or human collagen, and we see that the bovine collagen disappears with the time, and it disappears, but I'm sorry, I don't know how to use this. But you see in A, the density of the matrix, so the collagen didn't degrade. It was simply replaced by goat collagen. The bovine collagen was just slowly discarded. And it gets structured slowly. After a month on the left side, you see what it looks like. And slowly the cells will redistribute in the graft. And at the end, after a year, because we didn't graft animal for longer than a year, you can see the size in B. You can see the size of, we have quite large diameter collagen fibers that could be easily compared to the native ACL fibers in D. And you notice there the big size of the fibers, but you also notice that there are not as many as in the native ACL after a year, which explains later on the strength of the gain in strength of the BACL. But besides this, because I must mention that big diameters collagen fibers are sign of true regeneration. These are not amount of little fibers that would be fragile like it is in a wound that is freshly made. The fibrocartilage is also regenerated. From the bone to the ligament, you have you see the calcified cartilage and fibrocartilage, and you go to the ligament. And this happens, chondrocytes migrate into the graft and get organized in columns like in the native tissue. if you do not put cells in the implant, it will work the same.